Hello, everybody. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. I hope you're still celebrating because we should be celebrating Christ's birth every day. It is the greatest gift we could have ever imagined receiving. My name is Josh, and my live stream I try to do as often as I can about midnight Eastern to talk about your life. I like to talk to people who are struggling in life, who are seeking God, people who have a crisis of faith, people who are just curious about God. Maybe you're getting this unknown calling and you don't quite understand what is going on with it. I often hear from people who used to burn bright for Jesus or just seem to have this generic spirituality. And they tell me that it burned so hot and it was so joyous and peaceful and they felt such love, and now they just feel emptiness. And I think that those people, there is hope for all of us. There is hope for all of you. Hello, Angela. Great to see you. God bless you. How was your Christmas? I was just giving my opening little talk, but as you all know, this is open to anyone to talk about their life and their struggles, their joy, anything you're going through. I'm open to all of it, but obviously, I'd love to hear about everybody's Christmas first. Oh, that's great, Angela. Yeah, we had a great time too. Had a great church service Christmas Eve, and really tried an old church that we used to go to and tried it out again, and I really miss it. So we might be going back to that one. Did I see the message from Jake? Uh, no, I didn't. I don't think I saw that. I might have missed that. What's going on with Jake? Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed that. I didn't even see the. Do you know what? Yeah, for some reason, I think there's been a couple that, I usually get like half of them in my email, like an alert for a comment. And I'll go to click on, the YouTube studios or whatever it is where I see the comments. And then there's only like a certain amount of them there still. I don't know what's going on. Some of them are getting deleted or some of them I can't see, or maybe they're just lost in the mix. But yeah, I will absolutely check my last video for sure. I feel really bad about that. Um, no, I did not see it. If I would have, I would have definitely emailed them for sure. Greetings, DGA Real. How are you doing in Canada? I'm sure it's nice and toasty up there. Yes, I definitely want to know. Jake, I was talking to, and a couple others I thought were gonna reach out to me to get emails, but I didn't see anything from. I saw a couple, like, obviously I responded to the messages from you, but yeah, as far as the other, um, I saw one from my sister Kashmir on there, and a couple others, but yeah, there was some that just seemed to have disappeared. It's pretty warm tonight. On -6. That's toasty. Yeah, we get down in the 20s down here, and we're like, "Phew, this is way too cold." I'm down in North Carolina, by the way. Yeah, so. Oh no, I'm Angela. I feel really awful that I didn't see that. I'm going to have to go back and maybe somehow it got, I don't know. You're saying it's still there. You can still see it. So I'm going to have to go looking for that. Yeah, because I only see the ones, it only tells me the ones that I haven't responded to. But then again, like I said, some of them just get lost in the mail. Thank you. If you don't mind, if you can send that, well, I'll write it down now so I'll remember it. Do you know? Oh, okay, that's a J because it's okay. Okay, I got it on there now. I'm gonna definitely. Hopefully, he comes on tonight. But yeah. Thank you for telling me, Angela. I really like I said, I expected a couple more people to reach out to me over Christmas because I really wanted people to reach out. You know, who were especially alone at Christmas. And man, I hate missing, especially those kind of messages. You know, Christmas time is the best for a lot of us, but for those who are alone or for going through heartbreak, it's really hard. You know, I talked to, I got another comment, one that I did actually get. You know, just dealing with all kinds of grief and issues like that, and it's such a hard time. It's magnified at Christmas time because you see, or you at least have the perception that all these people are out there with their families having this loving time and having this communion, and then they're just stuck at home alone, maybe, you know, stuck inside because the weather's all cold. And I really do think that, you know, obviously the winter time brings everybody down a little bit more for the most part, unless you're in a tropical area. Yeah, I hope so too, Angela. Hopefully he, yeah, I definitely want to talk to him. Oh, thank you, Angela. Yeah, I actually recorded that before Christmas, but it wasn't a Christmas related one, so I saved it till after Christmas. But I'm working on one from today when I'm trying to do the editing. I'm trying to get the editing thing going. My videos are pretty raw, and I think that I need to cut out a lot of the, you know, there's a lot that can be trimmed up, is what I'm saying. And I might try to go through some of my older videos and trim some of the stuff up and just make them more concise and to the point, because obviously words are important. And as we know from the Bible and from what Jesus said, he is the word. We have to be as clear and concise and as to the point as we can sometimes. Hello, Jay. Merry Christmas. Great to see you. And did I miss JB JBS Canes? Yo, how you doing? Or JB Scanes maybe. Um, how are you all tonight? Let's see here. Cynthia, hello. Oh, that's great, Cynthia. I'm glad you're doing well. Did everybody else's Christmas go okay? Yeah, you know, for me it was actually pretty mellow, as mellow as Christmas can be. Trying to get the gifts out and everything. But you know, I just, it was a special year for me because it was my first year, you know, as a worshiper of Christ. I'd obviously loved Christmas before since I was a kid. It just felt like a special time to me, but I didn't have that deeper feeling, that deeper connection to God. And so this year it was absolutely just, you know, as I told you, Angela, I know you've heard, you know, some of the Christmas carols were just bringing tears to my eyes. A lot of the, you know, a lot of the good ones, the old ones were, or the old ones. I mean, not the new age ones. New age everything seems to be devoid of any kind of soul. You got like Mariah Carey and all the Santa songs, and I don't care about all that. But yeah, I just, you know, I really was concerned about everyone, the people who were alone at Christmas, and I did talk to quite a few people who were alone, in my friend group and family group. But uh, Angela, we did a big Christmas thing on Thanksgiving this year, but had a simple day here for Christmas as well. Oh yeah, you had like the big feast on Thanksgiving, but yeah, just a simple. Yeah, we just made a ham and just did the. We went out Christmas Eve to church, and did I play Santa? Coats me goats. No, I didn't play Santa this year. I'm almost looking like Santa though, right? Uh, I got a couple more years until it's real white, and then I'm Santa. Um, my Christmas was wonderful. I got a 10 and a 7-year old, so they both got all kinds of too much stuff probably. Um, Trying to teach the young one how to play guitar. Not me teaching, trying to get her to learn. I guess I would get her some YouTube videos to watch or something, because I certainly can't play any instrument. But she's got like a little keyboard and a guitar now, so hopefully she'll be a great songwriter one day, if that's what she strives to be, I guess. Ooh, tacos for Christmas. I haven't. Yeah, I mean that sounds great to me. I've heard of the Chinese, because the Chinese food restaurants are the only ones open on Christmas, but never tacos. I'd like some tacos. That sounds good. I My wife. I've been talking about getting a pecan pie for like years. For some reason, oh, we don't buy it probably because it's a little bit more expensive. So we just go for like the pumpkin pie, or my wife just makes something. So we finally broke down and got a pecan pie this year, and then we're like, man, we both had a piece of it, and we're like, man, it feels like it's like so filling. And then we look at the thing, it's like a tiny little piece is like 510 calories, and I'm like, oh man, that's exactly what I need, right? I'm way too skinny. I need to bulk up, put some mass on. Rob Gratz, hello, brother. How are you? Last night, me and my son did our prayers, and he kept asking, "Who created Santa? Did God create Santa, or did Santa create God?" And I was explaining that God created everything, and he said, "Yeah, I know. Um, it really bothers me, and yet I can't tell him the truth because his mother doesn't want me to. And PA law says that religious teachings have to be agreed on." Oh man, Rob, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I wonder if you could tell him about just Saint Nicholas, the original Saint Nicholas. Again, go back to the reason we give gifts. Obviously, the Magi, the three wise men. Well, we think it's three wise men. It doesn't say whether it's three wise men. I don't know why we always say the three wise men. Probably because there was only three gifts, but there could have been multiple gold, frankincense, and myrrh gifts. But we we give the gifts because that was the tradition from the very beginning, with the Magi coming in, giving the gifts to the baby Christ, and well, obviously then it was Mary and Joseph. And then we have the tradition of Saint Nicholas, the original, putting the dowry out for the girls so they wouldn't be sold into slavery. And then he was known to go and leave little gifts on the windowsills of children, and it's a really nice tradition. But the crazy yeah, Santa and his sleigh, and the reindeer and all that's definitely not. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. If you want to tell your kids that, that's your choice, obviously. But um, you got the AirPod, Cynthia. All right, the AirPod. Is that like? Is that like a new iPod or something? I'm not sure what the AirPod is. Um, it sounds familiar, but I'm not up on all the new technology, so it's probably an older technology, and I just don't know about it. Seamus, I look like Saint Nicholas. He was probably a lot skinnier back then. They weren't. He was. What was he? He was. I don't know if he was Roman. Was he? I know he was in Rome during the um, uh, big in the 300s. I think he's from Rome. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up more. I was going to do more about him. I wanted to look into more of like some of the old saints and things like that, just to kind of do a video on them, talk about him a little bit. Saint Francis is an interesting one to me. People pointed out that he would go out and basically worship in nature like I do, and he had the animals following him all around all the time, and so somebody pointed that out to me, and I got really interested, but I haven't been able to do it like a deep dive on him. Angela, I was laughing at what you were saying earlier about needing the over 500 calorie pecan pie, not Rob's coming out. Yeah, that's exactly what I need. Right? And not to mention, there's still like 1,000 cookies left of every different kind that are all like amazing. And I've been trying to go like without, definitely cutting out dessert for a long time, but obviously during the holidays, it's like anything goes. So, um, well, Christmas at least. Rob, really, the issue I have goes back to the issue that people make up this being that takes credit for the acts of others. Modern culture is so into Santa that people who aren't devout think it's just fun. Yeah, it's definitely something that Christmas has become something that either lukewarm to even non-Christians all celebrate. I think I told you guys about this girl who is, she was abused when she was young, and she was Jehovah's Witness growing up, so they didn't celebrate any holidays, even like birthdays or anything. And she despises Christianity now, but she doesn't know what Christianity is. She just thinks she's real progressive, so she thinks it's obviously it's anti everything that she's into, deleting babies and everything. But she just put the worst kind of uh, this meme of the Virgin Mary saying, I wish I would have deleted my baby," and it's like, and then she posted some comment about, I'm trying to remember exactly. She was saying like how racist and bigoted people are always just keep your mouth shut. I'm like, I was trying so hard, but I had to put. I'm like, you really just posted this right after posting that thing with the Virgin Mary? You really just did that? And then how she rails on Christianity nonstop. Then she put a thing up, and the only reason I know about this is because she's friends with my wife from way, way back, like 20 some years ago. Um, then she posted like, "Who's got their Christmas tree up? Like, show me your Christmas tree." It's like, okay, don't you understand what the Christmas tree, what the whole deal with Christmas is? But they don't care. It's just like it's just nothing to them. People have rejected God, and people are basically, they're lacking soul. They don't have any kind of connection to anything other than the materialistic world, and their desires and their whatever just makes them happy at the time, and that always leads to a dark path. It really does. And believe me, I this is coming from someone who, when I was saved by God, I had a bias towards Christianity. I'd grown up in a lukewarm Christian house. I mean, my parents were pretty devoted to the church, but they didn't really I was raised knowing the church, the Bible stories and everything, but I didn't know barely anything about it. Didn't know what the Holy Spirit was. Didn't understand that Christ was God Himself. I didn't understand any of that. Now the Holy Trinity is kind of confusing, I understand, but didn't get it. I mean, when I heard Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, it was like, okay, it doesn't mean anything, doesn't click in my head what it really meant. But I was led through all the faiths, religions, spiritualities, not all of them, all the main ones and a lot of the minor ones that are popular, at least today. And I didn't want to be a Christian mainly because the way Christians acted. Not that they were like conservative people, because I was conservative even before I was saved, but because they were hypocritical, that they didn't show the love. I showed more kindness before I was saved than that a lot of them show, but I didn't understand anything about it, and I didn't realize that a lot of the people even calling themselves Christians, they do not understand what it means to have a close relationship with Christ. That's not a knock against them. It's just I I am desperate to show people what that means, because it is transformational and it is everything to me now. It is the only in my relationship with God and guiding others to Him are the only reason I need to live. It's the meaning of my life. It's the ultimate fulfillment. I the video I did today, and like I said, I'm still editing it, so I don't know if it'll come out tomorrow or not. But I was talking about how God takes outsiders and makes them the ultimate insiders. So you look at just about every single figure in the Bible, every single one, minus maybe a couple little minor ones. And they were all people who were just broken, who were sometimes awful people, just awful people. Look at the Apostle Paul. I mean, he was tracking, torturing, and killing Christians. He wanted Christianity wiped off the map. And then Jesus came to him in his divine form and just changed him to, maybe aside from Christ himself, the most influential figure in Christianity. And you have Moses, who was obviously the ultimate outsider for so many different times. He sent down a river. His parents had to send him down just to save his life, and he was taken in by an Egyptian princess who had just lost her baby and raised it as her own. And then he didn't find out who he was until after he killed a man for beating a slave that happened to be a Jew. So it's and then he found out he was a Jew himself, and you find all of these stories, every single one in the Old Testament, especially, of these outsiders taken in by God and made holy and brought up, not necessarily to what they thought they would be, because I'm sure Moses didn't think he would be any kind of religious leader, any kind of holy leader. He said himself he couldn't even speak. So he said, couldn't you find somebody else, God? I'm really not a good speaker. And that was exactly how I felt too. I was like, God, I'm a horrible speaker. I've got horrible social anxiety. Please find somebody else, please. And it was just, I found that when God tells you to do something, you better do it, or else it's on you. If the consequences are not going to be fun. And then if you do follow what He says, the fulfillment in your life is just amazing. Rob, okay. Oh, okay. Nothing. Oh, wait, did I miss? Oh, okay, okay. Trexton, hello, how you doing, brother? Rob, nothing is a coincidence, and it's not a coincidence that many children put Santa at the top of everything. They are taught he has power to know everything you do. That's literally God's power. Yeah, that's true. Yep. That he knows if you're good or bad. God's power is judgment. I know it's ridiculous, but the name. Yeah, yeah. The Satan thing is like I disagree with you there, but I do agree. We teach our kids that yeah, he's this all knowing kind of almost like a supernatural being, right? And it really, I think his original story, again, Saint Nicholas and so many others who had that mantle, because I mean, it was all about Saint Nicholas with the gift giving. Um, we have to understand that whoever is born again into the body of Christ, especially the saints, they are, they can be celebrated. We celebrate All Saints Day, and that's supposed to be, Halloween is All Saints Eve, and it's. I understand that people try to say it's pagan origins, but it's not. Especially the people who say Christmas is pagan origins, which I get it. There are, some people worship like birds or something this time of year, I guess, but it's more like, yeah, they did it around the time of a harvest festival, but from the early church, they were celebrating Christmas around December 25th because they that was their best guess that was the moment of birth. Um, uh, uh, oh, I can't say your name. Somebody making fun of Jordan Peterson's name. Delete a baby. Yes, delete a baby. The thing I cannot say on YouTube. Rob, teach him on Adam and Eve, and he would jump straight back to was Santa before Adam and Eve? Yeah, yeah. It's like he was like one of the divine angels or something. Yeah, I understand. Every single Christmas movie is like, oh, you don't believe in Santa, you don't have the faith in Santa. No, where's the faith in God? Where it's really kind of I don't. I was trying to watch. I was trying to find as many Christ-based movies as I could this Christmas. Not really many kids Christ-based movies. Uh, and it's sad. It really is. So I had to tell my kids, obviously more about Jesus and focus it more on that this year for sure. Uh, China Walk, 2910. Don't know what you're referencing, 2910. But and the Peterson satire 13 through 60. Okay. That might be an inside thing or something I missed. Angela, the name Santa derives from the Italian word Santa, meaning saint. Yeah, yeah, it's holy. It's the saint. Chris Kringle is the Christ. Um, uh, yeah, it's all based on Saint Nicholas or Christ or Christ. I think Saint. I can't remember what the clause was. I'll have to. I literally just looked that up not too long ago too. Um, Trace back to the Christian tradition of venerating saints in their feast days. Yeah. Rob, in Rome, the pagans of the time would have to participate in rituals of the state. It's not coincidence that holidays of the state government are forced on everyone, are parodies of the real ones. Yeah, well, our society makes Christ a parody. It's a parody of there are so many atheists themselves and non-believers all over. I told you about my wife's friend, and she's my friend too. I mean, I'm not actively friends with her, but um, I we I enjoyed her company. I still love and respect her. I hope that she is somehow healed of her past trauma. But the way she rejects God right now, I don't know. It's not looking good. Um, but people will take atheists especially will adopt religious practices, Christian practices, and use them. They'll adopt Christian traditions. I mean, obviously, all of our society is shaped by Christ. Christ was the figure who shaped the world. He's the only one who drastically changed the world the way he did. You have no figure that comes even close. People are like you take all these other old ancient religions like let's say Buddhism or something like that, or the Krishnas or something. They all had thousands of years head start on Christ. Didn't come anywhere near what he did in the way he changed the world for the better. Uh, you have every almost every branch of science and mathematics, almost all Christian fathers of all of them. You have universities, you have hospitals, you have everything. It seems like is good and beneficial in the world started by Christians. And people despise Christianity now. People despise it, except for the ones who are like progressive Christians. Now, I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying people in general, like the general society. Obviously, I know you all are actual devout Christians, or a lot of you are. But it's wild. It really is that we have such hate, and I get it. It's because of things like the Catholic Church in the beginning, and now a lot of the other churches that have really just lost focused on Christ. What they're trying to do, they have, the Kenneth Copelands of the world, the what is it, Joel, what is his name, Joel something, uh, the one who made the Mary movie on Netflix. Um, yeah, the TV evangelists. These kinds of people taint Christianity for everyone else. And we become a laughing stock because people are like, well, we have science, we have reason now. We don't need it's you guys don't understand that science and that reason started with Christians. It is a Christian ideal. We are not anti-science, we're not anti-reason. In fact, we're the ones who obviously you had Socrates and Aristotle and all them, but man, we took it to the next level. The Christians did. It's it's wild that we have this rejection of Christ, and I do believe one of the big reasons for that is because of Marxism in our culture, but especially in our universities. And scientists cannot get grants if they openly claim that they are Christians, or openly claim they are really any religion except for like whatever these acceptable ones like Buddhism or something. The Eastern religions are non-threatening because they are basically just meditation. That's all it is. It's not that deeper relationship with God. It doesn't require you to devote your life to a relationship with God and actually transform your life completely. Angela, the name Santa has appeared in historical records as early as the 12th century, predominantly in Italian-speaking religions. I copied this from the internet. Oh yeah, yeah. It's I did a deep dive on him too, Angela. Thank you for looking that up again. Um, yeah, it's. I think what Rob obviously and you too. I know it's that modern take on everything Christmas. It really is. It's become a commercial, and again, Marxism is probably a big reason it was corrupted like this, or people just completely abandoning all religion, especially Christianity. But hopefully it's making a comeback, because people started to have these kind of spiritual awakenings, which is what I thought was happening, which is really just a calling from God. And then a small portion of them, but it's still a pretty significant number, are led to Christ through that experience. It's kind of a beckoning, I think. Spiritual awakenings are just starting to open your spiritual eyes to see that there is something more in this world when you really didn't believe it before. It's not, Rob, I'm not saying the name doesn't come from a Christian tradition. I'm saying it's not a coincidence that its modern form, that its modern form is an anagram for Satan, and that its thinly veiled truth, but as a whole, is a lie. Who is the original person for mask, masking a lie in a scrap of truth? Yeah, exactly. It's true. Yeah, I mean, I understand, Rob. Angela, Rob, we don't celebrate Santa. I'm not trying to defend or promote Santa Claus. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Society in general, though. Yeah, Angela, and I can see, I understand completely the objection to the modern understanding of Santa Claus, which Angela, you've said too, you do too. It's wild that we have this omnipotent being that is just looking over everyone, but I don't know, and that they don't even talk about him being a Christian, and the I guess they call him Jolly Old Saint Nick sometimes, and things like that, but they don't dare speak about that in Hollywood, because Hollywood is about as anti-Christian as you can get. Um, would you consider the modern Santa Claus to be in any way or form an actual veneration of Saint Nick in modern culture? No, but Rob, you've had from the very beginning of churches, you've had this corruption of the name of Christ, the corruption of Christianity. I mean, I talk about, the Corinthians. Go read the two books of Corinthians. You will see messed up people, man. They were having love triangles, in like, the one guy was sleeping with his father-in-law, or not his mother-in-law, and then his wife, and then, I mean, they were just having these, the thing, the ORG thing I can't say on YouTube probably, so I'm not going to even attempt to. Um, they It was corruption from the very beginning, and Paul even said, as soon as I'm gone, this is going to fall apart. And what did you have? You had the Catholic Church that was beneficial for really probably a couple hundred years, but you needed a reformation way earlier, and unfortunately we didn't get it until, what was it, when was Martin Luther, was it the 1200s? And that's when, thankfully, everything started to change, but you still have the churches just being so corrupted, and the ideas behind anything Christian being corrupted. Because the Catholic churches, that's one of the reasons Martin Luther had the Reformation, was they were selling salvation. It's like, give whatever their currency was back then, give a pound or whatever, and you can, we'll put in this prayer with God, and you'll receive salvation. It's really so disgusting, but it's nothing new. It really isn't. Exactly, Angela. We focus on the birth of our Redeemer, for sure. Um, let's see here. That's what I'm saying. It's not about what believers say of Santa. It's that these secular twisting of truth destroy the truth of them. Yeah, Angela. As a matter of fact, not really. We lived in Europe for many years. They do Saint Nick much differently than the Americans do Santa. Yeah, yeah. Want to know who ruined Santa? Now that I think about it, it was Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola had basically they started doing pictures of Saint Nicholas, and they started making him more and more like the Santa we have today. And then they started, and I've heard stories, I don't know if it's true. I think I told it on here before, but the reason we have the flying reindeer was, the Nordic countries and all that, they would literally hallucinate off this. It's called a fly allegoric mushroom, which is a poisonous, kind of a toxic mushroom, but it still has hallucinogenic properties. And apparently, when filtered through a reindeer and through their urine, was safe for, it wasn't toxic for humans. So they would literally drink reindeer urine and probably trip out and see flying reindeer. So that I heard was the reason we have the flying reindeer, but I don't know for sure. That could just be a bunch of stoners on the internet saying, "Hey man, they took some mushrooms and now we have flying reindeer. Man, so cool." It's everything good is corrupted in our world. It's not just Saint Nick. It's not just Jesus. It's everything. Everything good is a target of evil, and especially when we try to be good in our life, when we try to serve God in our life, we are targeted. It's a spiritual war, non-stop spiritual war. Where did you live in Europe, Angela? Yeah, things are getting more westernized. Crazy Canadian, Saint Nick is Santa. Yeah, that's true. Crazy Canadian. Rob, you disagree, yet it's literally what it is. Kids believe. Yeah, I know, Rob. I know it's probably. We understand your frustration because you're not allowed to tell your kid. That's a different situation than I really even thought of. I know you. I think you've told me before, but yeah, I never really thought about that. I think I've heard of, or at least somebody telling me something like this before, where they're not allowed to tell their kids anything religious because it has to be agreed upon in court, and that is just wild. That is absolutely wild. So you're telling me if my wife decided to divorce me and she could keep me from telling my children about Jesus, and that's just not going to happen. So I guess I would just have my kids taken away from me. But that's the kind of sick world that we live in, really. Angela, really, Santa is innocent in many eyes. People do it as something fun for their children, similar to Halloween. For me, these holidays are a great time to spread the good news of Jesus. Yeah, me too, Angela. I'm right there with you. Um, yeah, Rob, the anagram of Satan isn't really. I don't agree there. I mean, um, because it literally means saint. The Santa means saint. Um, um, yeah. Well, I mean, I told my children about Saint Nicholas. I mean, well, my oldest one, because my youngest one, I still, you know, I'm still. I did tell her about how Saint Nicholas, the reason why we have the gifts, but she still is not understanding. So it's something I'm gradually having them learn over the years. But my oldest is definitely, she's got the whole thing down. It's just a fun thing. Angela, the name comes from the Dutch name Sinterklaas. Yeah, there it is. Yep, Sinterklaas. There you go. Is an alteration of Saint Nicholas or Saint Nicholas. Yeah. The first known use of the name Santa Claus in the United States was 1773. Angela, have you asked the? Yeah, I get it, Rob. I know. You're passionate about it. Klaus is the masculine name of German origins that means victory of the people. It comes from the Greek name Nicholas, which is a combination of Nike, victory, and Laos, people. Oh, that's cool. Klaus is associated with Santa Claus, the jolly old man who delivers gifts Christmas time. The name Claus is still used in German-speaking countries and other other regions influenced by German culture. Copied that for the meaning of Klaus. Bilbo, yeah, Joel Osteen is who I was trying to think of. Joel Osteen's the other shady one. I've heard. Aren't they like? Are they both that? I know they're the charismatic and they're like the prosperity gospel, aren't they? I don't. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to it until recently. I've started to hear about them more. Obviously, I've seen them, and they were one of the ones who tainted Christianity for me in the very beginning. Which that's they need to be stopped, but it's a free country, so what can you do? You can just speak out against it. Harrison Escobar, Old Teen, Oxteen, whitest teeth in town. Yeah. Rob, you don't see the irony in the victory of the people. The name comes from, is what the name comes from. Victory of people. Rob. Oh, Rob. I know, Rob. You're getting mad about it. Yeah, I understand, brother. I get it. I get the frustration for sure. Angela, we never celebrated Santa, but I'm sure Josh is referring to the real Saint Nicholas. Yeah. I'm really. We did. We still, like I said, my youngest still is getting gifts from Santa because it's something that we had her used to. But I'm telling her, I told her the real origin of the whole thing, and now it's going to be a process over the next couple year, probably next year. She'll be 8, so she'll be old enough to. It's still like the kids are waiting for Santa, or the young kids are waiting for Santa, but I get it. I do not like that the Santa thing is what's focused on, which is why I just made sure that we focused on Christ this year. No movies about we gotta have faith in Santa and all that garbage. Speaking of saints, any of y'all are readers and want to know the real story of Saint Patrick? Please get the book. Let Me Die in Ireland. I'm not a huge reader, but I couldn't not put that book down. Really? Yeah, I am. I heard somebody did like a like documentary on all the different, not all the different, but a lot of the different saints, like the famous ones. Because I don't know much about a lot of them. Like, do you guys? I don't know much about the Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc. I don't know much about quite a few of them, and I really would. I am a big history fan, so I'd like to know more for sure. St. Patrick for sure. I definitely will check out. I'm going to write that down too. Let Me Die in Ireland. I I am usually an avid reader, but since I've been saved, it's been mainly the Bible and religious content. But I guess that don't count as religious content. So maybe I'll get some good stuff out of it. Rob, so what have we so far? It's an Rob. Come on, man. I get it. I understand. Bilbo, I love God's sovereignty. I know I can't do it, but He can. And as much as I am currently not enjoying the ride, I can see the work God is doing in my life. Praise God. That is great. That is great, Bilbo. I that is what we have to understand when we are suffering, because I talk to too many who they were burning bright for Jesus. That was what I was talking about a little bit in my video I'm putting out probably either tomorrow or the next day. They're burning bright for Jesus, and they just lost it. They just burn out. They burnt so hot, and then they just fizzled out. And I'm like, that is not a relationship with Christ. What that is a yeah, you're sensing the calling, maybe you're feeling God drawing you in, but you're not willing to sacrifice and make and have the patience in your life and dedicate your life to Him. I talk about a little bit how we should, obviously we learn in life that dependency on someone, like if you're dependent on your husband or wife, if you're dependent on your parents, if you're dependent on even your kids or your friends or whoever, that is very unhealthy. So we're taught that. So we're like, why would we be dependent on God? Doesn't God help the ones who help themselves? Well, that's not actually true. No, we need to be dependent on God. It's completely different than a human relationship. We can do nothing without Him. In fact, during my hardest times, if I didn't have God, I would not be standing here or sitting here, whatever. I would not be here at all. I would have probably well, obviously I wouldn't have been led to Him, but my life might have been over. I really might have just figured out a way to end it, because when the weight gets so heavy that you cannot bear it anymore, then you understand, if you surrender your life to God, He just takes it from you. It's not like you're obviously still have to deal with pain in life. There's always going to be pain. There's always going to be heartbreak and grief and all these things. But I've dealt with all of these things since I've been saved, somewhat more than I did before I was saved, actually. And it hasn't been fun doing it, getting through it, but it's like a little speed bump compared to a canyon that I just drove straight off of. It's everything when you learn how to completely dedicate your life to God. Now, I am not completely dedicated my life to God. There is nobody who I know who has completely dedicated their life to God. But you try to get as close as you can in surrendering yourself to Him. Because even Christ had the human desire. He was tempted by the devil in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. At his weakest point, the devil came to him, and any one of us would have given in at that point in our weakness. I guarantee you. We say, oh no, I wouldn't have given in to the devil. When you are completely exhausted, when you are completely starving and thirsting, and it's just been baking out in the desert sun, and at night it gets freezing cold, and I promise you, you get to the point where you're not able to handle it. But Christ had to go through that to show us that He was not like Adam, who at the first chance he got disobeyed God and ate from the forbidden fruit. No, He was the new Adam, the last Adam. He was the one taking the place of what Adam was supposed to be. and it had to be God himself in human form. It had to be, because none of us are even close enough to being sin free and to being able to avoid your sin and all that like he did. Um, uh, Rob, yes, exactly. My ex can tell my child that Santa is real, but I cannot tell him that he is not, or that God is. Wow. Now she isn't so extreme that she won't let me teach him about God, but think about that. Yeah, the courts allow a lie to be told, but I can't speak the truth. It really is. Yeah, because they'll call you a religious extremist and say you're a danger to your child. That's what many courts would do, for sure. Um, yeah, Angela, I've learned so much, because you have to understand. I just became a Christian. It was last. I'll say it was last Good Friday. It was probably a couple days before. It was probably a good week or so before Good Friday of last year, and or of this year really. And I have learned so much, but it's the fact that I am trying to help my family and my friends and everyone understand what kind of transformation happened to me. Now they can see the transformation. They can see, obviously, my wife takes it seriously but doesn't understand it. So I can't expect her to know what I'm talking about, because I don't even understand it completely myself. I don't understand how God actually does intervene in my life and would come in and change my life to the extent that he does. So I have to be, aware of the fact that she's not going to understand that either. And the fact that Jesus himself was said there is no prophet is acceptable in his hometown or among his relatives is absolutely telling of why the people around us aren't going to take us seriously when we are born again. So I'm not even concerned about that. I just, if they decide to come, obviously I teach my kids what I can. If they decide to come along, which my wife she's been trying, she's been uh, working with a very devout Christian woman and a couple other Christian women that I know, but they still don't grasp it, and that is something I hope that one day I can guide her to. But it's it's a weird relationship when you go from 1 second being this couple who is just suffering and just angry at the world and angry at each other all the time and fighting all the time, to all of a sudden, no, I have found peace in my life, and no matter what, I'm going to follow God to the ends of the earth if he leads me there. Rob, I would be mad. I'm not saying you're not not righteously angry. Really, I'm just saying I understand it, brother. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I would be furious if that was happening to me, for sure. Uh, Kahan, uh, hello. I hope I pronounced your name right. I'm so sorry. I'm horrible with pronouncing names. Hello, though. Welcome. Uh, no, Rob. Rob, trust me. I understand your anger. Trust me, brother. I do. But it's like, I can't sit here and read. I'm trying to help people on here, which I get it. I get it. People, I don't agree with the Satan and Santa thing, but I understand your point of view because of what you've been through, for sure. I'm not trying to make you mad, brother. I promise you, I understand your righteous anger. Um, United in Faith. Hey, how you doing? Bill Jensen. Hey, brother. Hey, Bill. How you doing? Bilbo, I'm now switching to another activity, but I like listening to what you had to say. I'm now subscribed. God bless you. Looking forward to hearing more. That's great, Bilbo. I really appreciate that. Thank you for coming over. And oh wow, I'm actually to the bottom of it. Or did my thing shut off again? Um, it could very well be that YouTube is glitching again, yet again. Um, oh, there you are. Bill's comment came through. Bill, it's great to see you. I'm doing great. How was your Christmas? Um, yeah, sometimes YouTube will shut me off if I say the wrong thing, shut my comments off, or like freeze my channel, or it's really they do the strangest things. They just have AI checking it. That is great, Bill. That is great. Did you get to spend it with your family, or did you extended family? I mean, I was unable to go to Pennsylvania to see my family this year, but which was sad for all of us. But it's you have to do what God's leading you to, and God was making it clear that we just couldn't go this year. It was too many car troubles, too many. I've been up to Pennsylvania on emergency visits like 3 times already in the past like 6 months. So it's a lot for sure. My mom, my little brother, and my wife. That's great. That sounds like a great time. Uh, Angela, my dad was military. We were stationed overseas. Then I got married. Then I married a soldier. Many years overseas, Germany, Italy, and Belgium. We're out now. Yeah, that's it's a good way to travel around for sure. Being in the military, I know that's rough on the children sometimes. Going from one place to another, but it's good if you've got that Christian upbringing. Um, then again, I've seen it backfire because again, you have to have the love is the main thing. Teaching the love, which I get it. It's a it's a strange one for me because that's what progressive Christians say too. It's only about the love. Christ is all love. No, Christ came not for peace but as a sword. Christ isn't this little sissified version of Christ that we all in this country paint him out to be, just like the fake Santa, Saint Nick, and everything. We make everything into something that conforms more with society. Now, I heard a thing like, what is it? Biblical Christianity will never be popular, and popular Christianity will never be biblical. It's true. People do not want to hear the truth about what Christ was saying, about what Christianity really is. They will skip over all the Apostle Paul teachings if they don't because they don't like them. They're not convenient for their life. People find what's convenient for their lives and they try to work that into their life. We do not take God seriously. But the thing about it is, I see too many Christian, like pastors' children and things like that. I knew every pastor's kid that I knew ended up being. One kid had a heart attack by the age of, I think, 23 because he was doing so much crack, smoking so much crack. Another was just, he was into like crazy drugs too. Of course, almost everybody in my small town was, unfortunately. But we have to learn that kids are going to rebel. So we have to teach them that about a deeper relationship with Christ, not just like these strict rules, because the strict rules were what the Pharisees were teaching. That's what Christ and John the Baptist and everyone came to stop, saying, no, you workers of unrighteousness, no, stop it. So there is a fine line, which I get the sacrifice and the patience that's needed, the surrender in your life, it is a strict ritual. You have to make these sacrifices in your life, or you're not going to feel God in your life. But with kids, I'm still trying to figure out the right way to do it. And the right way for me is by teaching, like my daughter who has social anxiety, trying to teach her what Jesus, how Jesus treated others, and how we don't have to care about what others think about us, because as Jesus said, if the world, it seems the world hates you, just keep in mind they hated me first. It's absolutely true. They despised him. They literally killed him for claiming he was God. Um, so I am working on trying to find a way to not let the world corrupt my children, yet still not keep them from the fun and having these nice youthful experiences. And it's difficult. It really is. It's something I'm constantly thinking about and constantly trying to. My wife is completely. She's like, I don't care. She doesn't understand the reason why something like Rob was saying, like with Santa Claus and things like that. Um, Bill, congratulations, Angela. Tell your husband thank you for service. Absolutely, for sure. That it is. We don't spend. I need to spend more time thanking the uh, men and women in the military for sure. I have a nephew right now who is. He was trying to be military police with the Air Force, and now they have him as infantry. And I didn't even know they had infantry in the Air Force. Honestly, I don't even know why they do, but because so few signed up for service under Biden, now they're just struggling to find people, and they're just making up new infantry units, I guess. Uh, Umit, why all the pastors gay? I don't know if all the pastors are gay. I know there's probably some gay pastors for sure. Is there one or three God? There is one God. Who is the Father and or the Son? Umit, you're asking a lot of. All right, so it is a holy trinity. They are one God, one God, and three persons within that God. It is not three gods. It is one God. God the Father cannot leave heaven. The Son and the Holy Spirit, if you read the Bible, they make it clear they are God, and they have a shared mind yet a separate mind from God the Father. They share the same will, but they are allowed to operate outside of heaven. Heaven can never be left unattended, ever, ever. That is one thing we have to keep in mind. So if you think that God doesn't intervene in your life, then that's fine. I mean, if you're a deist or something and think that there is just a God who created everything and just left it go, then that's what you would think if you did not have someone like Christ and the Holy Spirit working within our world, in the spiritual world. Any other questions, Umit? And again, I don't know any gay pastors. I don't know who you think the gay pastors are, but there are progressive churches, I'm sure, that are full of gay pastors. Or you must be Muslim, right? Sound like a Muslim? Um, I don't know if it froze up on me again here, everybody. I think Rob got mad and left that I was not taking him seriously. I'm sorry, Rob, if you're still on here. I wasn't trying to. Yes, I had to skip over some of your things. You kept reiterating that Santa was Satan, and I get it. You're not happy about the whole situation, but I really do think that as I was saying, since either YouTube's got me frozen or nobody's watching anymore, um, our lives are made fulfilled by God and no one else. Nothing else can fulfill our life. We will go around our most of our lives, most of us will, searching for ways to find that fulfillment. We will go around maybe even chasing some kind of pleasure, chasing lust, chasing desire, chasing fill in the blank, drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling. Oh, that's good, Rob. I'm glad you're not mad because I wasn't trying to disrespect you for sure. Um, but we are constantly trying to fill that void, that God-shaped void, and nothing will even come close to giving us purpose and meaning in life. I thought that having children would do that, but I did not yet know what true purpose and meaning in life meant. When you rely on someone else, when you make someone else your whole purpose in life, then you are tying an anchor to them and dragging them down with you. That's all you're doing. And as soon as they either leave you or betray you or fail in life or die, then your whole life will just shatter. It is a dangerous thing to do. It is just a countdown to sorrow, pretty much. You have to take the suffering that you go through in life. You have to take the struggles you go through in life, and you have to embrace the brokenness and let it make you desperate for Jesus. Let it drive you to him. If you're not desperate for God, then you are still a part of this world and you are still a slave to Satan. That's what you are. That's what we all are. Still, as a devout servant of Christ, I am still seduced by Satan far too often. And I hate it. I hate myself when I do that. I do not have the same kind of hate for myself that I did when I had that before. I say I hate myself in the moment when I know, hey, I'm committing this trespass, this sin, and I'm just going to do it anyway because I feel like it. And it's just sometimes we trick ourselves and tell it, oh, it's not a sin. It's not that bad. It's just a minor sin. Like there's some kind of like rankings of the sins. No, I get it. If you're a killer or if you're a thief of a certain extent, or someone who obviously molests young children, that is the worst of kind of sin. But sin is still serious, even when we are just lusting after someone, looking at adult content online, when we are an alcoholic, when we are, fill in the blank. Pride leads us to all of these sins because we are always trying to justify the fact that we are blazing our own path in life and that it's all up to us. And that is not the right approach. The right approach is no, I can't do it myself. Admitting that you are weak, that you are broken, and letting it make you desperate for Christ. So, I'm glad that everybody's still here. Well, at least you and Rob and Angela, you two are still here. I appreciate that. Oh, and City by the Bay. Great to see you too, brother. Hello. Hope all is well. It's absolutely. How was your Christmas? Um, it's good to see you, brother. I'm so sorry. Again, I say it every time you're on here, almost. But of what you went through, I know that's tough, brother. With the losing that money, but it's it could be obviously. It never helped me when people said it could be so much worse. Yeah, I guess so. I could be back when I was, in so much pain all the time, and there'd been people who took their own lives, and like my father-in-law, and then there was all these tragedies, and they're like, could be worse. Yeah, yeah, it could always be worse. That doesn't make me feel better. And then another reason why I think I rejected Christianity was that people were always telling me that I could all the pain, I can be healed in the name of Jesus. And they're like, just let me pray over you, and I'm like, okay, and I'd let them pray, but nothing ever happened. So I was like, well, obviously the praying doesn't work. So I just had this elementary understanding of what Christ was, even though I spent my entire youth going to church almost every Sunday. But again, I literally had everything else on my mind except for what they were teaching me in church, which is sad. And Presbyterians are probably one of the lazier denominations for sure, even though I did love, some of the churches we went to were just absolutely beautiful. But I do think that the fact that our society it has just completely stopped taking God and Christ seriously, or that we've tried to justify it as we have some enlightened view of God now, or we just don't believe in God because we are enlightened, because we understand science now. So there is nothing in the Bible that negates any kind of science. I don't understand why people think that, and I get it. There's a there is a difference. There are people who are the 6,000 year the creationists, which I'm totally fine with. I have wrestled with the fact that I think Genesis 1 through 11 is mythological, not in the same sense of some made up fairy tale. I think it's mythological in it's so complex. These are such complex issues. We're dealing with the entire creation of the universe in one one tiny little a couple tiny little verses. And how are you going to explain that to men and women, especially men, because I guess women couldn't really participate back then, in the Bronze Age, in the Stone Age almost? It might as well have been the Stone Age. It was the early Bronze Age. You can't explain these complex issues to people back then. You had to tell them as Jesus did, something like a parable, but you had to tell it in a way that it was true. I don't know if Adam and Eve were the first two people, or if, because I know Adam is Hebrew for mankind. So is that a representation of just the early man? Or is it Adam and Eve were the two people and they were there in the garden and it went down exactly like they said? I don't know. I'm not saying one way or another. What do you all think about this? Angela, Rob, what do you all think about this? If YouTube's still letting you comment, do you think that Genesis 1 through 11, the time from creation to the time of when Abraham, right before Abraham, I guess 11 is the very end of 11 is Abraham is introduced. Do you think that is, I guess the Noah's flood and the Tower of Babel and all this stuff? I don't know exactly how to take it, and I really do wrestle with this all the time. And I think that's part of it. Like Jacob wrestling with God, that is part of it. Um, uh, let's see here. City by the Bay. Well, let's just say I'm hoping next Christmas will be better. LOL. Yeah, I agree with you, brother. I hope it is too. There are many things in my life that I'm hoping are much better next year too. Unfortunately, I think that I'm going to be going to quite a few funerals this year. I'm pretty positive I'm not going to have my dogs around next year. If they even make it through a month, I'll be surprised. But and I'm hoping, my parents will last through then, but I know my mom is just in such misery right now, and my dad, he's not as bad, so I'm hoping that he's okay. I'm hoping that both of them are. My uncle might be. It's not a good scene for any of that. But again, God has given me peace about this. I'm not sitting up like I used to be, worried sick about it. When my grandparents were dying, I was I was sitting by the phone. It was early on when I was disabled, and I'd be sitting by the phone just waiting for that phone call because I was just sick with worry and fear about it. And now I don't want to get that call for sure, but I don't have that worry. I don't have that anxiety. I don't, because I understand that I will see them again. I will. I understand there is life after this one, which I wasn't sure of before. God made it clear to me that, He didn't make it clear what happens after we die and all the details, but He made it clear that I will be seeing my loved ones again, for sure. Uh, Angela, I strongly believe in a literal 6-day creation. It just makes sense. Makes more sense. Yeah. See, I, I've listened to. Have you ever watched Answers in Genesis, Angela? They are a good argument for the 6-day creationism, but I think that the 6-day creationism is a again. We are told in the Old and the New Testament that time is irrelevant to God. One day could be 1,000 days, or vice versa, or one day could be 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 days. It's we are I can't look up the verses right now, but there are verses in both the New and the Old Testament saying this. I do think that what changed my thinking on it a lot, which I always struggled with it, with obviously we have fossils and stuff, and we have carbon dating is not as reliable for sure, but the fossils and things to me make more sense. But I think there was a lot more going on back in the day that we understand, because I do think that a lot of the mythological gods, small g gods, were like Nephilim. They were. I strongly am starting to believe that now. The more I research it, the more I think about it. They were called the heroes of old within the Bible. They were also called monsters and beasts. They weren't really explained as well. And then we have part of, I think, what is it, the first part of the Book of Enoch, or the first or the second part that is actual, should be in canon because it was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the Book of Enoch says a lot more about the Nephilim and things like this that they do mention. They do give a pretty good idea of in the Bible, but let's see here. Okay. Yeah, Answers in Genesis is a good argument for the 6-day creationism. Rob, also people argue. Oh, wait, did I miss one, Rob? Oh, okay. There are many interpretations, but the one I like is that. Oh, yeah. That was just what I was saying. Okay, the 1,000 days is a day. Rob, also people argue that the Earth is older. I think that it existed forever. The Bible says that Adam and Eve could have lived forever before eating the fruit. It's I don't know about it living forever, because doesn't what it isn't it Isaiah who says, like, he hung the world, and like he literally gives scientific explanation. He says the world is round, and he says that God hung the world, like it's hung in the vacuum of space, like it is. There are so many different things, but I think that, we have that we think that we know of a billion trillion stars in the universe, in the known universe. So that's more stars in the sky than grains of sand on the beach. I think that it's a lot more complex than any any book could ever, even if it was a volume of books, it could not explain what scientifically the creation was, and you certainly couldn't have it to where people in the Bronze Age could understand. I do think that we know that there was a great flood. There's 167 religions that talk about the great flood. There is actual evidence of the water going through the middle of the Sahara. You can see the watermarks going through the middle. You can see the salt on the. I was I was watching a thing about Atlantis being in the Eye of the Sahara, but the Eye of the Sahara is up, kind of higher in the mountains, and people are like, so that can't be it because it wasn't flooded, but it's covered in salt, so it had to have been flooded at some point. So we just don't know exactly what happened back in the day, except for what we're told. Just some vague things about what we're told about ancient history. It's true, Rob. The Bible did never say how long they lived in the garden, and how long before it took Satan to reject God. How long did it take Adam and Eve to reject God? We don't know this at all. So I mean, anything is possible. Angela, I don't think that's referring to the 6-day creation, though. The thing is, I don't make this a self. Oh yeah, Angela. I don't either. I am perfectly fine with the 6-day creationism. I'm perfectly fine with other theories, as long as they're not like anti-biblical. I don't think that. Okay, I don't even think I said this. Okay, the thing that made me start thinking differently about this was when Jesus, obviously the fact that he spoke in parables, but when Nicodemus was talking to Jesus, and he was talking about being born again, and I talk about this all the time, and Nicodemus was like, "What do you mean? I'm an old man. Am I supposed to go up in my mom's womb again and come out the birth canal? How's that supposed to work? I don't think that's going to be good for either of us." And so Jesus was like, what? Are you kidding me right now? But he's like, you're supposed to be one of the great teachers of Israel. And then he said something that made me look at the Old Testament, especially Genesis, differently. He said, the things born of the flesh are of the flesh. The things born of the spirit are of the spirit. So we don't even know what in the Old Testament was actual. It could have been a spiritual happening. Okay, is it Balaam, I think is his name, in the book of Numbers. Balaam the prophet, who had the talking donkey. I talk about him sometimes too, just because the talking donkey I love. He had betrayed, I can't remember who he betrayed. God basically told him not to help out one of the enemies. I don't know if it was the Amalekites or it was one of the bad enemies of the Jews, and he helped them out anyway. He decided, oh yeah, I'm just going to help them out anyway. I don't know why he just would go against God when God told him not to, but he was riding his donkey, and the donkey kept bucking. And he kept hitting the donkey. He's like, no, stop it. And then the third time he did this, the donkey hurt his leg really bad, and he hit the donkey really hard. And then God gave the donkey the ability to talk. And he's like, why are you hitting me? Haven't I been a good donkey to you? What is going on here? What have I done to deserve this beating that you're giving me now? I've been your great donkey for 12 years now. And all this stuff. And then he's like, well, why do you keep hurting me? Like, why do again, why didn't he say, how are you talking to me right now? But he said, why do you keep hurting me? And so God opened his eyes and allowed him to see the angel that was standing there, the angel with a big sword. And the angel said, he was hurt. He was trying to get away from me. He's like, he's the only reason you're still alive, that I decided to spare your life, because of this donkey that basically was like, hey, I'm getting out of here. And he just, I guess the angel decided somehow to not take his life during that. I guess he figured that whole situation would help him understand. But so what I'm trying to say is, he could not see the angel. The angel is a spiritual being. So we cannot see all of these spiritual beings. All of this stuff might have been happening in a way that we can't comprehend, or in a dimension, in a spiritual realm that we can't see. Or maybe it's taking place on both the physical and the spiritual. So I look at it, and I think that changed the way that I understood or kind of viewed the Old Testament, especially Genesis. Most of the rest of the Old Testament I do take as actual fact for the most part. Rob, which is Earth, so it aligns with science saying it's billions of years. Yeah, that's true. But if you're going by science, you're saying that the Earth is billions of years old, so it hasn't been around forever. But then again, they don't know that much. I mean, about, science is changing all the time. Angela, I'm a young Earth believer as well. Yeah, and there are some that believe the Earth is flat. Angela, yeah, but it doesn't say the Earth there again. I think it's Isaiah said, he might have even said it twice. That, oh, no, I think it was Isaiah, and then King Solomon. King Solomon said the earth is round. He didn't say it was he said it was round. Maybe it would, you could take that as it is, but they basically laid it out to where, in a scientific way, but they weren't trying to be scientific. Rob, I believe the earth is endless, as it was in the beginning, so it shall ever be, world without end. The eras are what come to an end. I kind of like, I think I kind of disagree with that, Rob, just because the earth is, well, obviously it talks about God creating the earth. So it doesn't say the earth was here forever. The heavens and the earth. So it says the universe and the earth had a beginning. And they were created in a certain order. But I think that we are supposed to, when we die, we go to this kind of spiritual veil, maybe this in-between place, like a holding type place. Maybe Sheol is what it's called in the Old Testament. And then we are basically waiting there until the judgment day, when Christ comes back, and heaven will be on earth. So we will have these new bodies, and those who will not perish will come back and live forever on earth. Angela, God commanded the Israelites to work 6 literal days and rest on the 7th because he created it in 6 days. Yeah, that's true too. But again, it could be metaphorical, because didn't Jesus speak in parables all the time? They were not meant to be taken literally. But again, I'm not saying it's bad to. It absolutely does not. For me, it's not a salvation issue either. I think it's fun to actually think about, and I like hearing different people's perspectives on it, for sure. Angela, and also, so the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Yeah, I mean that's true. That's true, but again, you could be when you're hearing. I think it's Proverbs, and then what is it? I don't know the other New Testament verse that talks about the 1,000 days as one, but I think that time is relative because, again, how are they going to explain to them millions of years, how or billions of years? How are they going to explain to them these advanced, complicated issues? These people they didn't have the wheel yet. They weren't very knowledgeable of anything. They were simple farmers and shepherds and just simple men and women. Yeah, Angela, and I do believe, as I know that's I totally love who is it? Oh yeah, Paul Washer I think is a 6 day creation is a I don't know if Paul is, but I definitely know Vadi Bakum is. Yeah, Paul is too. Yeah, he is. So yeah, most of the pastors I respect the most. They are all 6 day creationists, and I can, I can be talked into one way or another if I have a good enough argument one way or another, for sure. Right now, I think it's not something that, like you said, is a salvation issue. So I don't sit there and worry about it. Like, oh no, if I don't believe in young Earth creation, then I'm going to hell. No, I think that it's something that we all have to wrestle with, just like I said, like Jacob wrestled with God. That's the type of thing that we have to wrestle with, and that's why there are so many different denominations, because we all have different takes on. I mean, I, I didn't even know this, but until recently, a couple months ago, I think. But Jews, obviously, they read the Torah, but they don't believe in the original sin. So I don't. You have so many different understandings of these same stories. And I think that's for a reason, because we are so different. Our lifestyles are so different, and God, He makes it to where the Bible can affect anyone of any lifestyle. It's all about speaking to you, God speaking to you. So we see it differently because God speaks to us all differently. And I think that's what's so beautiful about it too. I don't think that we should have these great divisions between all the denominations and stuff. I mean, I understand the Catholics don't like the Protestants and Protestants don't like the Catholics, and not me. I love anyone, I love all, but especially my other brothers and sisters who believe in the Trinity and the resurrection and the virgin birth. Those are the things that they have to believe in. Anything else, I still love you, but I strongly encourage you to look into it more. Angela, I do believe these different interpretations divide Christians too much, and we shouldn't debate too much on it. Yeah, yeah, I think it does. Yeah, 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 Rob, I agree too. I agree with both of you. We should not get in arguments about it. I think it's, again, I can be persuaded one way or another. I for sure, I think it's very interesting, and that's one thing that I've been kind of going back to a lot is it written in a mythological style? And I think that it kind of is, because it's such complex issues. And like I said, how are you going to explain these complex issues to even like people just 100 years ago, let alone 4 to 6 thousand years ago? I mean, or 4,000 years ago, I guess, is when they were written usually. But Angela, I just want to follow Jesus. Yep. Whatever that looks like, talks like, etc. Just want to be a true follower of the Lord. Me too, for sure. Encourage others along the way. That is the most important. Rob, not ready for the question about Jesus' name not being Jesus. Well, Yeshua, you mean? Is that what you mean? Rob. Or then you have the what is it? The new thought people, the new thought Christians, which aren't really Christians. They think that the Christ is like the Christ and Jesus are two separate things because a Christ is like the state of being, like the ultimate enlightenment, and they say that Jesus is like what do they say? Oh yeah, Jesus was obviously one of the first to achieve that enlightenment, so he achieved the Christhood or something. It's really wild. I mean, these people are. It's more like, I guess, like an extension of Gnosticism, but uh, Angela, yes, that story is really something. Why are you beating me to it? Can you imagine? Yeshua, yeah. Yes, but it's so deep, Rob. Yes, but it's so deep. His name means the one who is salvation. Yeah. And then Emmanuel, God with us, right? Uh, it's it's absolutely. I mean, but there are again like people who have to read the King James version. And it's like I don't understand that. I don't like the King James version, not because I don't think it's right or anything. I think it's because our English has evolved. We don't use words that are in the King James version of the Bible anymore. I mean, we don't. I don't need to have "cometh" over "thou shalt not." You can. I don't need the old English. I get it. It makes it sound more official, maybe, but I just need something that I can understand as long as they're not changing the meaning of the word, which they aren't. They are not changing any meaning. We literally have words in English that aren't used anymore because it's completely different than what it used to be. But that's just me. Some people they have to have the King James because they think that anything else is like a corruption, which to me is I disagree with. But Angela, yes, I definitely believe Earth is a sphere. Yeah. Angela, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Yep. Rob, science can't tell you how old it is, just that it's at least billions of years old. Yeah, that's true. Um, which lines up with the possibility that Adam and Eve could have lived billions of years with God before eating the. Yep, that's true. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And, you know, maybe that would explain why there were already so many other people around when they were kicked out of the garden. Like Adam and Eve's, obviously Cain and Abel, or uh, Cain went and married, and then there were all Adam and Eve's other children, and then all the other children at the time were able to go out and find wives. And yeah, there were already tons of different people out there. So maybe Adam and Eve were around, but I don't know. That doesn't really work either, though, because Cain and Abel were supposed to be the first there. So it's, again, to me, it makes more sense as yes, it is based in truth. Not saying that there aren't most of these characters in real life, but I think that it is, to me, in my mind, it is works better as, hey, this is trying to explain everything to these complex issues to early man. But I'm only been a Christian really for 9 months, so I still have a lot more grappling with that to do. I could be grappling with that the rest of my life. Rob, the Bible also says world without end many, many times. Yeah. I'd have to see the context of the world without end. The like because I don't think that I don't know that it's been here for since the beginning, or we know that there is a beginning of at least the universe and the earth. Um, but I guess you're saying, Rob, that it's been here since the beginning of the universe was created. Is that what you're saying? Or it's been here literally forever? It's like eternal, like God. I think that you shouldn't hold to any specific verse too tightly. The Bible is mostly poetic prose and uses so much allegory to take any verse to its extreme is not a balanced and wise interpret. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have a problem with people doing it. I it's I get it that people will say, okay, well, if you're taking that as not true, then they start taking the New Testament as not fact, when it's clear the New Testament is to be taken as fact, even though Jesus spoke in parables, but everything but the parables he was speaking about was recorded biographies, historical biographies. Uh, so it's I don't have I keep saying that I don't have any problem with any views on it for sure, except for the ones that are anti-biblical. But you can twist scripture to make it whatever you want to, but I don't think that is as far as I think you have to look at the genre of it's all different books, Psalms is poetry, Genesis I think was written in at least the beginning, the first 11 verses, mythological style. Um, then you have like Revelation, it's Jewish um, prophecy, end time prophecies, it's apocalyptic prophecies. It's all different genres. And I mean, you even have satire. You have like the Book of Jonah. It's literally satire. It's like comedic relief almost, but it's still so deep. Even though it's comedic relief, it's still so deep. About people holding on to their anger. I love the fact that it's all different types of genres. I think it makes it that much more meaningful. I really do. I can only read a couple. Well, I'll go down to see if I can get to the end here. Angela, if we really want to study something literally, let's go over the Sermon on the Mount. Yes, yeah, the Sermon on the Mount is. Uh, what was it? Some Harvard ethics professor was saying like all all ethical teachings in the past 2,000 years have been a footnote to the Sermon on the Mount. It's clearly just incredible, incredible. And people who try to say that he wasn't divine or wasn't there, or the whole Bible was changed or made up, or some people even say Christ wasn't even a real person or Jesus wasn't a real person. It is absolutely insane to me to think that all these poor Jews just got together and created at the exact point in time when all the trade routes and everything had just opened up. So it was just finally to where the world was connected, and the perfect timing. And they created this perfect book. And by perfect, I mean the perfect moral teachings, the perfect being able to help you in every aspect of your life. No, even in modern times where we have all this crazy technology, the Bible still can teach you everything you need to know, which is absolutely miraculous. So again, it's pretty wild to me. These people who think that it's all just a big fairy tale or whatever. And even if Genesis 1 through 11 is mythological, but it is based in some reality. At the very least, I think it does not change anything else. The reality of anything else, it does not change any of it. It does not, because it was clearly written as that. I think it was clearly written in that style to portray these enormous events, enormously complex events. Sebastian, oh, hello, my favorite Catholic. Hey, you should check out the biblical evidence for Catholics. I love you, brother. I do. This is a good book. You should read when you get the chance. It's by a Catholic monk who currently lives in a monastery. What's it called? Uh, Sebastian, what's the book called on Catholic beliefs? I watch a couple Catholics on a couple of YouTubers that are Catholic. I don't have any problem with Catholics at all. To me, it's another denomination. I'm not a fan of the Pope, not at all. In fact, you know I don't hate the Pope. I don't hate anyone, but I dislike the Pope actively, because I think he is, especially with the all religions lead to God, or pathways to God, and the human heart is fundamentally good. I believe that that's definitely not what you should be teaching as a Christian values. But let's see, Rob, parables aren't the same as allegory. Yeah, that's true. You have to read within context, whether that's a verse, a chapter, or whole book, for sure. But what I'm saying is, if Christ was teaching these complex moral stories in parables to, they weren't, the guy who, the prodigal son wasn't a real person. He was making a story up to explain this complex issue. And he has the farmers and the sowers of the seeds, and it wasn't even really seeds; it was really the word of God. You're making these metaphors, and you're talking about these complex issues, but simplifying them, which was what you had to do for these people, which is what you have to do for most people. For me, I mean, I'm not a smart guy, smart enough to understand these ultra complex things. I need to have it dumbed down for me too. But I think that if Christ was teaching like that, why wouldn't Moses, be telling the story of creation like that? Why not? I mean, I don't see why not. But again, that's just me. And I could be persuaded many different ways. So I'm not firm, digging my heels in on any of this. Sebastian, it's called "The Bible Proves the Teachings of the Catholic Church" by, um, let's see here. The Bible proves teachings. Okay. I tell you, I tell one of my good friends, who's a Catholic, Sebastian, about you, sometimes, about how you're always trying to convert me, and because he's always trying to tell me about, the Catholics. It's so great, but I know enough about Catholicism, and I know that, I have not found any denomination that is just like, you gotta come in. This is the one true pathway. No, my pathway is Jesus Christ. I understand the value of churches, and I go to, right now I'm going to Baptist church. I used to go to a Presbyterian church. I'm probably going to check out a couple other different churches, different denominations, just to have that understanding of it. But I might even go back to a Catholic church and go to a mass every now and then. I want whatever is calling me most to Jesus Christ, whatever is going to help my relationship with him the most. And so far, the ones in my area, since I'm in the South, have been the a couple Baptist pastors that I've found that are the one absolutely incredible. The only problem is my daughter who doesn't like to go to that one. So I, for me, my church is out in nature. I pray and I worship where Christ did out in nature. I get it. There were, we started the church and is very important, but I think that as the world evolves, so does the worship of Christ. I think that for me, it is a personal thing, but I still, if I didn't have talking to you guys, talking to people in other places in society about God, then I would definitely need a church more. But I go where God calls me to go, and right now it's a Baptist church. But again, my heels are not dug in. I go where God tells me all the time. Um, let's see here. Let's see. Rob, I think all paths do lead to God, not that they get there the fast or best way, because even being wrong, you still come before God. That's true. Well, yeah, I guess if you're saying that, yeah, then all religions do lead to God for sure. Um, there's the way, the truth, and the life. I just find it wild that supposedly the highest uh, Christian leader in all the world said something, two things like that. It just baffles me. Um, Sebastian, you should explore the parallels between the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark and the Old Covenant, and Mary, and the Ark of the New Covenant. Um, just as the Old Testament Ark held the written word of God, Mary carried the Word made flesh. Ooh, oh, wait, that sounds a little too much like the. Okay, so the Ark, like because they called. Obviously, you had Noah's Ark. You had the Ark was the basket that Moses was floating down the river in. I get it. Like, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm interested in it though, but that just scared me a little bit, Sebastian, because it made me think too much of the Dan Brown, what was it, Da Vinci Code, where they were saying like Jesus wasn't even really, or he was married to Mary Magdalene and they had a kid, and that was really the Holy Grail was Mary Magdalene's. The baby of Christ, of Jesus, and that just made me think of that. But I know that's not what you're talking about, brother. It just made me think of it. Had a flashback to it. Uh, Rob, so metaphysical speaking, they still lead to God, just likely odd. Yeah, I think that the only okay. So I understand the people that say, "What about the people who were never exposed to Jesus?" So we're told that it's got to be Jesus won't come back until the word has reached every corner of the earth, and that everybody has been exposed to Jesus, and it has had that chance. But what about the people that weren't? What about the lost tribes out there that never will hear the name Jesus Christ? Will they have a chance at going to heaven? I do not know. I think the fact that God is just and fair, I don't think that he would let it happen to where, they're necessarily just going to hell because they never heard the name Jesus Christ. I don't think that. I think what would happen is he would judge them by their fruits, judge their hearts. If they were striving to be good, godly people, then they will go to heaven. If not, then they will go to hell. But that's also more like I guess, a universalist type take on it too. Because, well, I wouldn't really say that because the Bible does not speak on what happens to those who never heard the word. Except for Jesus is the way, the truth, and life. No one will come to the Father except through Him. So I mean that is pretty clear. But what about the ones who never hear it? Will they get a chance in the afterlife to accept or reject Him? I don't know. I mean, maybe there is some sort of spiritual state where we think we're alive and we are put to the test. We're finally told about Jesus in the afterlife when we never heard about it in real life. I don't know. Uh, it's all it's all wild. Sebastian, it's free on their website, but they offer paper copies for $5. You can get 5 for $5. Oh wow, that's a good deal. I might just check it out on the website. Yeah, I'll check it out as much as I can, Sebastian. I'm not guaranteed I'm reading the whole book, but I'll definitely check it out. Thank you for. Hey, I love you, brother, too, and thank you for coming on here. And I really do appreciate you coming on here to because you are very passionate about it, and you're trying to always convert me. And I absolutely, if there is a bias against the Catholic Church, I understand. I had my great grandmother hated my grandmother because she was a Catholic and my grandmother was a Presbyterian, and they clashed. And I never understood it until I was an adult. But then I do have my bias comes more from the Pope in the Catholic leadership, but I don't think that should be. Maybe I've talked to a lot of Catholics who do not take the Pope as seriously as other Catholics do. So, Rob, just likely not his way. Yeah. Angela, Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Yep. Apostle Paul was wonderful when such a the way he writes too. And I have a great brother in Christ who writes to me. He's actually Russian, but he moved to America, 30 years ago, I think. And he basically learned English through reading the Bible, and he writes exactly like the Apostle Paul. And it is beautiful. I love it. It's like poetry to me, but like intellectual poetry. Angela, God bless you all. Good night. Good night, Angela. God bless you. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Not sure if I'm definitely going to be able to do this tomorrow because my kids are still on break and my daughter, if she's being bad, I'm going to make her sleep in bed, but I might let her sleep on the couch tomorrow night. But I will be doing this at least every other night this week and maybe half into next. But I love you all so much. Well, let me read the rest of them here real quick. Sorry, Rob. Rob, if a church claims they are the only way to God, they have lost their own way. God bestows His Spirit to those who He chooses. Yeah. Rob, Sebastian at Rob, no, by that logic, committing sin leads one to God, which is false. I don't think that doesn't really, Sebastian, I don't know about that because I think there was a pretty good justification for the Martin Luther to the Catholic Church was pretty corrupt. It took them a while to have their reformation for sure. Rob, Sebastian, no, you're wrong. Sebastian, you're not understanding. You still are uh, leads to him for judgment. It's his choice. Christopher, hello, brother. I'm very late to the party. I see, lol. Anyway, I hope you and everyone here had a great Christmas, brother. I hope you did too, Christopher. God bless you, and hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Hopefully, I get to talk to you more. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow, but I should hopefully be here. Uh, what is tonight? Man, I don't even know what tonight is. Thursday. So hopefully I'll be here at least Saturday night, if not tomorrow. Rob, does a sinner not have to stand before God? Uh, Rob, Jesus taught the entire lessons to those who follow gossip. Uh, oh, Jesus taught the entire lesson that those who follow gossip, God's law without the law being told to them, are more righteous than those who have the law. Yep. Uh, Sebastian, you will know him by his fruits. Not everyone commits mortal sins. Yeah. I don't. Again, I think that I am loving of any denomination of Christian. Not in, I do not like, obviously, the ones that aren't technically Christians, like Mormonism and Jehovah's Witnesses. Not saying I don't love those people too. I try to love everyone, and Mormons are really, really kind people. I just think they're very, very, very wrong. But you know, uh, Christopher, thank you, man, and it was great overall. God bless. I'm so glad to hear that, and I need to get a hold of Jake. Apparently, I missed one of his comments, and he was trying to reach out to me. He was having some hard times, so I feel bad now that I missed that comment. Um, I'm pretty I'm pretty angry at myself that I wasn't able to see that. But all right, I better get off of here, guys. I love you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your Christmas time, because remember, it's 12 days of Christmas, right? I try to celebrate now up until Epiphany, which is January 6th or whatever. I think it's later than that, actually. But that's like um, the King's Day. Some people call it the All Kings Day or something. Uh, yeah, that's what is it? Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. I love you all so much. Thank you all for showing up. Sorry, I'm still getting over this cold. I don't know when it's gonna go away. Probably never. At this point, it seems to be a clinger, class stage 4 clinger. So again, I will try to be on here tomorrow. If not, I will see you all Saturday. If you can make it, that'd be great. I love you all so much. God bless.